Hi everybody, it's Marla at Twinstrology and I'm here with Debbie DuBois.
Hi guys.
We just came back from the Banff Twinfinity workshop in Alberta.
Banff.
It was so amazing.
No words.
Um,
No words. It's just stunning. Everything was stunning. The energy was incredible.
mhm.
And Marla and I got a lot closer too,
Yes.
didn't we? There's just a lot of bonding that happened.
Yeah, there was bonding that happened with everybody. I think of all the workshops we've done, this is my third one. This one was the one where people really bonded, but the way that it was set up was we spent a lot of time together. We had meals together, we took the tour together, and I think it's important to talk about the way that everybody has shifted since the last one, because it has been a year since we had the workshop in Boston. And what we noticed was that the people that were at the workshop, their energy has shifted so much since last year, and the things that they were interested in. And
Yeah,
how do we explain that?
Well, the focus of what everyone wanted to talk about was a lot different. There was a lot less talking about the sacred partners, and there was a lot more talking about where they were at, where they wanted to go from here. There were a lot of people that didn't know exactly what they were going to do next. Some people had just quit their jobs, and they were ready. And I was like, oh, good, creative expression. You're getting ready to branch out.
There was a lot of talk about mission work and a lot of talk about surrender.
Yes.
And everybody pretty much seemed to be, if not in a state of surrender, very close to surrender. And there was a wide range of people there. There were people that have known their twin flames for 40 years, and there were people that hadn't even met their twin flames yet.
And there were some people that didn't know that they were twin flames that came to the workshop only to discover, I really do think that I'm in this pattern.
They were just drawn in by the energy.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
It was. So one of the things that I loved a lot about this workshop is it seemed that people floated between each other. Like, you'd have a conversation going with one person, and then suddenly you'd find yourself drifting to another group, and there'd be 2 or 3 people talking. By the end of it, every single person had had a conversation with every single person. And as we were leaving, we were all like hugging in groups. We wouldn't let go of each other. It was just like, and we were like, we got to do this again. So, yeah, it was really amazing.
And we definitely will be doing it again.
Yeah.
We are at Niagara Falls, by the way. Debbie's visiting me now after the conference, and it's a beautiful day here.
This is my home turf, too. Marla and I grew up about an hour and 15 minutes away from each other, and I spent a lot of time here at Niagara Falls. And so I in fact, I took my shoes off. I've been walking around in the dirt and the grass because this is my homeland. This is where I came from. And what I have decided is I'm going to spend some time up here. Find a place where I can stay for a month or work from or whatever, because I love it here. So, yep.
So Niagara Falls, keep that in mind, maybe for a future conference.
We see that in our future, don't we?
Yes. So what we were told we should talk about today is freedom.
That's my favorite word on the planet.
And I think the energy right now for twin flames, but for everyone that is ascending, really is freedom. And I know for both of us, Debbie, this last 6 weeks, 8 weeks has been all about breaking free of those fears, those really deep-seated fears that really stop us from living our full potential. And we have been forced to really confront them, haven't we?
Yep. I call them patterns of imperfections, whatever's still left. It's like it's been, the spotlight's been on those patterns of imperfection. And those patterns are what keep us locked into being beholden to whatever our situations are. It's the programs that keep us from feeling free because we feel oppressed by them. So we've had to really go in and dig deep. And we had experiences of that ourselves, just like flying. Marla and I, well, tell them.
Yeah, well, I've flown a lot in my life. I've been to many places in the world.
Yes.
But since I've had my children and started to awaken, I've developed this fear of flying. And it would get progressively worse. And it made it so that I would go places, but I almost couldn't enjoy my vacation that much because I would be always thinking about, well, I have to get home now. And so maybe the last 3 years, I haven't flown anywhere. I've done all my vacations.
You drove to Chicago.
I drove to Chicago.
You did.
I drove to Boston, but I drive to Boston all the time. I drove to Virginia. So when this opportunity came to go to Banff, I had to confront that fear because I needed to go there. I have a very deep past life connection to Banff, as does Debbie.
Yes.
And Rob and Angie and Kelly and Dio and all of us, we found out because I looked at our astrology charts.
That was cool.
So we really had to be there, and that,
Yeah.
can't drive there unless I
Right.
could take a month off.
Take a ferry across some of the Great Lakes.
So I had to get over that fear.
And she asked me if I'd fly with her, and I was honored because I love this part of the world. I've been wanting to see Marla, and so I said, "Sure, I'll fly with you." So we flew together, and we did a lot of, I don't know, what did we do? Just a lot of grounding and centering and meditation and stuff before the flight.
The fear didn't even come up.
No, it
Like
really didn't.
during the flights, or if any anxiety did come up, it was like immediately released.
Yeah, exactly. It was like we were consciously bringing it to like having the experience. Like on the way there, we had, I would say, a decent bit of turbulence. They kept putting the fasten the seatbelt signs on, but it felt like you're on a bus. So, but if you're working that up and you're allowing that to trap you, you could really, go into fear. And neither one of us really did. We didn't. We were having very relaxing conversation. I heard someone behind us talking, and it was kind of like, da, 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 and I'm thinking, you know what? As much as that I might find that annoying, it was happy chattering. It was happy. They were happy, and I was like, oh, thank you. There's really positive energy here.
Yeah.
And so
I just kept thinking, I surrender.
Yes.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I surrender.
That's
and I
what
don't
she kept
care.
saying.
And it's a perfect case of that fear of flying where we work ourselves up to something that is very unlikely to happen.
And we experience, the thing is if you don't deal with this stuff and clear it, you experience it as if it's going to happen. So you might as well have what happened because you've experienced it as if it did.
Something that was kind of funny, wasn't it, was that when we were talking about stuff, and we weren't talking about ourselves really, but some situations that had some tension involved.
Yeah.
And when we would talk about it,
Yeah.
the plane would get more turbulent.
Oh my God, that's true. That is absolutely true. We would just be talking about some of the tensions, the things that needed to be worked out, and it was like, we need to smooth this.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember one of the things that I realized? Remember when I came back from the restroom and I sat down and I said, and I went into like just a little bit of a meditation, and I was told by my guides, smooth this plane out. Smooth the energy out ahead. You can smooth the flight. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, Carla, have you noticed it hasn't been bumpy? So we were like into this relaxation and surrender, and we'd start talking about something that was a little bit more 3D.
Yeah.
And it was like all of a sudden we were like, oh, we better stop.
Till we got lighthearted again.
Yeah.
But I mean, we weren't talking about flying or anything like that. It was totally unrelated. But it was like our emotions or the energy within us
got a little bit
was
less
affecting
than
the plane.
serene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, freedom is your freedom from these fears that keep you trapped in this place where you're worried that something's going to happen. Because even though you don't necessarily create it happening to you, you create the experience as if it did. So, people get afraid of creating something. Listen, there's really, at this point, I believe there's only certain things you can create. You can't sit there and say, like, I was standing at the falls, and I was like, what if someone just picked me up and threw me over there? I really thought that. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to think about that, because what if it happens, right? Listen, I don't really think that we create that kind of stuff. But what we do create is this atmosphere where our body responds to something as if it happens.
Right.
So it might as well happen. You might as
Right.
well get kidnapped, stuffed in a box, whatever. If those are the things you're thinking about, and that's the prison, is the box of the feelings.
Right. I like to think of it as, what you think you create. So if you think you're going to have fear, or you think something bad is going to happen, then you're creating a fearful story for yourself, and then you live in that story regardless of what's going on. You could be having the smoothest, most perfect flight ever, no turbulence, all sunny and bright,
Right.
and be inside living fear, and projecting that something's going to happen.
And
That
even
never does.
even if like the plane doesn't go down, you still live in the fear that it does. You know what I'm saying? You're like white knuckled and I need something to drink or whatever. However people handle with stress. But yeah, we got done with this flight and we both said, we're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with the fear of that, and we're not going to let it stop us because we know we're meant to go places. We see ourselves going places and doing a lot more on the planet. And of course, she's been all over anyways. But now you'll go from here on in without any fear.
Yeah. It was so easy, and there's been other things as well. Maybe not as easy as that, but still felt so good to just confront the issue and then walk through it.
Yeah.
And it's actually life-changing. Like a lot of people said to me this weekend that I've changed a lot. I'm much more serene in my energy.
Absolutely.
Because I've kind of been facing every fear that I have. And so what is there to not be in joy and love about?
Well, there's kind of like a shield, I think, that's come down for you. A shield of protection of, like when we're in fear in any respect, we tend to keep ourselves a little bit more to ourselves. And it was really interesting because a lot of people were like, Marla, your beautiful smile. We were having so much fun just like relaxing into the energies and being very much natural in ourselves. And there were a lot of barriers between, like just different. We had a bunch of people from all over the place. We had men, we had women, we had people. Gosh, we had someone come from Taiwan. We had someone come from Australia. We had someone come from the UK, and then all over the United States and
in Canada,
and different shapes and sizes and hair color, and and gosh, by the end of it, the unity consciousness was just, we were holding on to each other with so much love.
Everyone was crying, I think.
Oh yeah, everyone cried. Oh, I cried when we left Rob and Angie. I sobbed. I was like, these guys are my soul family. So, that's freedom. Freedom to move past barriers, move past the programs that keep you entrapped in a state that is just not beneficial for you. It's not in your best interest. It's not your highest preference. I like to talk a lot about preferences. What do I prefer? Geez, let's see, contrast. Would I prefer to sit in an airplane and just be chill and relax and enjoy myself? Or do I want to sit there with my, it's preference. And when you figure out, sometimes the only way to get out of the things that are unhelpful is to release on them, let them go, so that you can get to the place you prefer.
And so in the ascension process, in order for us to shift into the 5D energies, we have to confront that fear, and we have to get to a place of freedom. That fear can keep us from our full expansion that we need for the fifth dimensional frequencies, and it limits us in our ability to create. For example, if I'm going to have a fear of traveling, then that makes it difficult for me to do workshops when I'm called, because I don't live in that freedom. I live in fear.
Right.
So to creatively express, to be our authentic self, we really need that freedom.
I totally agree. And I notice, like, to be at peace with your authentic self, when you really get to that place, it's like you're really not affected as much by the people around you. You know what I'm saying? It's like personalities don't affect you as much when you feel free. It's like in a particular situation where before you might have felt like, whatever little voices go on in our head, the freedom to not have that means anyone can show up in your environment. Like anybody could show up at our conference where we were at, and it was just a beautiful experience. Even with all the different personalities. And of course, we all have our little quirks, but it was like so wonderful to be accepting of others and having them be accepting of you.
I noticed that at this conference, no one was really affected too much by the energies, where the previous two, Chicago we had it the most, but it was our first time. People were sometimes highly affected by the energy of just having a lot of twins in the room, and the energy of being together, and the energy of being free and authentic to
a lot of people
for the
cried.
first time
a lot
for some
of people cried, and that very emotional energy would... And it
affected each other,
Yes.
as empaths.
Yep.
Boston, it was a little bit less. We made sure that people were much more grounded and cleared. And at this conference, I don't think none of us had to get up and go outside and ground.
No.
Or anything like at the other conferences. We were going outside. We
took little
taking
breaks.
separation.
Yeah, it took little breaks. But there was not a lot of emotionality. There was a little, not much. There was a lot of love. There was just a lot of love. So what we were starting to understand is that as a community of people who have been on this, what I consider a catalytic heart awakening path to sacred union with another, within ourselves first, and then with another, the whole community has shifted tremendously. Answering questions about, what do I do about this if my sacred partner is doing bad? Or I've been waiting for this long, and what do I do? There was none of that really.
No, it was more like,
what's next?
How can I shift this? How can I let go of this? How can I, not that anyone was moving on from their partner or anything like that, or rejecting their partner, but it was more
embracing
like everyone just wants to move on into their mission and be happy and be fulfilled, and they're tired. There was no stories going on.
Yay! I'm a big proponent of get rid of those stories, people. Right?
Yeah, it was amazing. You guys have done so much work.
Oh my gosh, and it's community-wide. I picked this up I did a number of readings, I don't know, a couple, and I picked that up, especially for the divine feminine energies that we have, we've gotten to a brand new level. But it was so exciting to see that really what we kind of figured out between all of us, and we spent some time with Angie and Rob before we left because they took us to the airport, we started to realize this is all about personal empowerment. Spiritual personal empowerment through our higher selves. And so that is more where we're focusing when it comes to relationships, is you really can't have the kind of union you want to have if you're not fully empowered within yourself, and then you're free.
Right.
And you'll never be anything but free in that connection. And that is why I'm chilling on that.
Yeah. It's like, I might love that person, but
I'm not
keeping going. I'm going to keep going.
I'm not getting tied down. I got too much to do here. To go back to the templated relationship, which is all about home and cutting. Someone said to me once, it's about cutting wood and carrying water, that kind of a union. This is more about spiritual mission and being on your spiritual mission, and yes, being loving that person in sacred union, but that nothing keeps you from going where you want to go. You have to have full freedom. Both people. Absolutely. And
I got a little friend.
I have,
see him in the camera.
That is a bug that we have all over our house.
I think I call it stink bugs, actually.
We got stink bugs.
But I've looked up the meaning before, and they actually have a very nice meaning, so I'm happy to see this little guy.
I am too. He's cute. Speaking of that, I had a squirrel come up to me in the parking lot. I got a picture of it. I'll post it. Him looking up at me like this, and then he climbed up onto my lap. I was like, I had nothing to give him. I felt so bad. But this is nature, and this is even the freedom to let a squirrel, a wild animal, climb up on your lap and go, oh, this is great. No fear.
No fears.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
We shared enough
We
for
did.
now. We may come back again.
I'm telling you this, girl. we really, all of us, the community, you guys, we're coming into a union within our community, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love here
Yeah,
for everybody.
there is. There's
the barriers have come down, and we got stuff. Collaboration.
So yeah, unity consciousness. We are becoming one. This community is becoming one. The universe is becoming one. So
The blocks are being removed, and it's collaboration time. You know, there's collaboration coming between different people. We can all assist each other in our missions. That's what I felt. There was a lot of overlap between what people do for a living or what they're aiming to do for a living and ways to collaborate. So we're moving into some more exciting pieces of that. And I do believe that we're getting ready to help a bunch of people who are in the process of waking up.
Yeah.
A lot of divine masculine, they're going through it really big. So, you know, everybody holds the light for the divine masculine energies, and pray for their freedom, because that is what I'm seeing now, is that if we're going to talk freedom and sum up in freedom, you can't have freedom with just the divine masculine, just the divine feminine in its power. The divine masculine has got to claim their power, and they have to claim their importance in the equation, and they have to be more in their truth and step into their power so that they can literally create a reality they prefer. That's the freedom. And when that happens, everything's
gonna shift.
And that's when the world's gonna shift. So we're just holding the light for the divine masculine energies. And in the meantime, we're just like finding traveling companions and stuff. Like, oh, let's go here and there, you know? Because we've got to keep our energies up.
Yeah. And let's give a shout out to Rob and Angie.
Rob and Angie.
Before we go.
Oh my God.
They did such a great job putting
I
this
love
conference
you.
together, and their energy as Twin Flames in union was so abundant. They didn't even have to speak.
No.
Their energy just radiated from them. And I was saying at the conference, we come together like that because when we get depleted, it's like a recharge. It's like
a
getting
retreat.
our batteries plugged
It
in.
is.
And feeling their energy and the energy of love between all of us
Oh
there
my gosh.
can keep us going a little bit longer.
They're the most amazing, beautiful people I've ever met. I mean, in terms of, you know, we think of a twin flame, you know, union. It's like, yes, if all unions carried that energy and that vibration, what amazing planet this will be.
Like they are, there's a little bit of a variance between what union is. To me, Rob and Angie,
Yeah.
they are what is called in union because their energy works together.
Absolutely.
They complement each other. There's no chaos.
Nope.
There's no arguments.
Nope.
And
there's the most grounded energy between the two of them. I've never met a man more grounded than Rob. He's a mountain man. He loves to climb. He loves, and he is rock solid. Hugging him was a big gift.
So
to feel grounded to the earth.
You know, we're grateful to them for sharing themselves, their energy, and putting this all together.
That they did. It was from a 0 to a 10 on a scale from 0 to 10. It was a 10 in my life.
Yeah,
At
definitely.
least. Right?
Yeah. The place could not be beat. The people couldn't be beat.
No. So
we love you guys.
We love you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.